All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Panther Voice podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shnequia Webb, and I am the client advocate at the Counseling Center. And we have a very special guest on with us today. We have Dr. Jeana Griffith. She is the Director of Integrative Health Services. Is that your title? Okay. Wait to make sure.
Important to get that right. Yes.
And she will be joining me in a discussion as we talk about coping with stress during the semester. So, Dr. Griffith, do you want to tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes, sure. Yes, again, my name is Dr. Jeana Griffith, and I'm the Director of Integrated Health Services. I spend most of my time at the Counseling Center. So part of my role is administrative, and then part of my role is clinical, and part of my role is supervisory. So I also supervise students. One of the big things that I do at the university is I coordinate outreach for integrated health services. So outreach programming, so wellness programs. So we do a lot of stress management talks, test anxiety talks, all different kinds of talks. And we also make videos on our Be Well GSU YouTube channel. So please check us out. We've got a lot of great things on there. We do wellness walks on Instagram Live. So we have a lot going on for students to help them de-stress. So I'm glad that you had me on today.
Well, thank you for being on. Dr. Griffith is just a great person. She's very helpful, and you can tell that she has a passion for the students and what she does. So thank you again so much for being on.
Anytime.
For me. Okay, so we want to just go ahead and kick off the discussion by talking about stress. So as you know, there's a lot going on in the world right now. We have, we're in a pandemic amongst the pandemic. We have COVID that's still running rampant, even though people may think it's gone away, but you still have to make sure that you're practicing CDC guidelines, wearing your mask, social distancing, and all of that. But then
washing your hands,
washing your hands. And we also still have, the racial injustice and everything that's going on there. So with all that going on, it's probably difficult to be able to cope with stress, especially when you're in college. We're doing classes online the majority of the time now. So that can be a lot to adjust to. So we wanted to target this discussion about stress. And I think before we can talk about stress, we got to have a good indicator of what it is. You got to know what it is about. So basically, a definition that I found about stress that I really like was the body's response or reaction to any change or perceived demand. So in other words, stress occurs when the demands of our life exceed our ability to cope.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
I agree. Yes, I do. Because it's like it gets out of balance. And so you have different demands on you, like exams, work, the social injustice stuff, and so all those demands are on you. And then you have ways of coping with the demands. And when it gets out of balance, that's when you experience this stress response. You experience distress when you don't have enough ways of coping with the different demands on your life. And it's kind of like, and so the response that we have is it's an evolutionary response, really, and it's a means for survival. So if you think about, like, if a tiger came in the room right now where you are, okay, say a tiger came in the room, what would you do? Would you just sit there?
No, I would be out the door.
Right, that's right, you would run. And so that's the fight or flight response is our evolutionary natural response, and it's a means of survival. So if a tiger came in the room right now, you would get up and you would run. So you would either fight it or you would flee. So you choose to flee, but your body gets ready. And so whenever there's a demand placed on it, then your body will respond. It starts getting ready to react. So if a tiger came in the room, your muscles will get tight. Your heart would start beating faster. All those things are things to kind of help you to survive, okay? But now we don't have tigers coming in the room after us, thank goodness. But we have this response built into us, this reaction that our body does. And so now our tigers are our exams, our, relationships issues, all those kinds of things, but our body still reacts the same way. And some people's body reacts more strongly than other people's bodies. So it affects, stress can affect your mind, it affects your body, it affects your spirit. And that's why when you're trying to fight it, you have to do things that hit each of those areas to help you to feel less stressed.
Yes. And there's different types of stress, right? You have the good stress and the bad stress. And I know you mentioned about distress, which is the negative type of stress. But then you also have the eustress, which is the positive type of stress. And you talked about that in terms of like with the tiger. So because that definitely would be stress that's needed to be able to get your adrenaline running and to be able to get out of that situation. So, and another example would be like if you have an exam that you're taking, you're studying for the exam, that's a level of stress that you're experiencing, but it can be considered good stress because you're studying to be able to help you to get a good grade.
So example would be like of the good stress, like eustress would be like a wedding. So, it's a happy occasion, but it causes some stress, doesn't it? Because you got to prepare, you got to get ready. So that causes that kind of good stress. And not all stress is bad. Some stress helps you, to get ready. Like say, if you're just laying around not studying for your exam, that whole little feeling that you have in you that makes you get up and go study, that's stress, And so in some ways, stress can be good because it can motivate you to go do what you do. And that is study so that you can go ahead and take the test.
Exactly. So, when we talked about the negative stress and the positive stress, there's also different types of stress. Like you have acute level of stress, you have episodic acute stress, and then you also have chronic stress. So the acute stress would basically be when symptoms occur due to some type of stressful event. And a lot of times that type of stress is usually short term. Am I right, Dr. Griffith?
Yes.
So like for an example would be like if you have a job interview that you're preparing for, or if you might be running late for an appointment, that brings stress. However, it's short term.
Right.
So after the event has occurred, then most likely you would be feeling better about the situation. Do you have anything you want to add about that?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. So once the event's over, it goes away. And so a lot of times people will ask, like, what's the difference between stress and anxiety? And so, with stress, when the event is over, it goes away. But with anxiety, you just keep worrying. So even though the event's gone, you're still worrying. And so that's the difference between stress and anxiety. And then the more chronic stress is, stress that, just keeps enduring for long periods of time. And so I think with this COVID stuff, it's feeling more chronic now because it's been happening for a while. We've been dealing with it. And so that's where you're wanting to, stress is additive. And so, it builds over time. And so that's why you need to do some things to manage it and to cope with it so that it doesn't impact your health, because too much stress on you and not enough coping can affect your immune system and cause you to get illness. So it can make you more susceptible to various illnesses. And so it's important to really make sure that you do some things to manage your stress and keep it at a balanced and healthy level.
Yeah. So we had talked about the acute stress and the chronic stress. And then I had also mentioned about the episodic acute stress. Basically, that's just acute stress that continues to have frequent episodes.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure I added that too.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So you mentioned about how stress can have an impact on us. You mentioned about how it can have physical impacts and can have emotional and behavior impacts. What are some of the other impacts that you think it could occur?
Yeah, so if you think about it, it can affect your mind, so it can affect your ability to concentrate, and make decisions, problem solving. Sometimes people report that, they get kind of foggy, when they're really, really stressed. And then behaviorally, how it can affect your body in terms of, you might. So if we let's look at behaviors first, and then we'll look at the body itself. But behaviors you can do will be like maybe being more agitated, maybe crying a lot, things like that. It can affect you emotionally. Maybe you might get depressed or anxious. And then with your behaviors, you might end up doing things like snapping at people, you know, just being more irritable than normal.
Or even withdrawing from others, not wanting
And
to be around people.
exactly, withdrawing from others, you might have trouble sleeping, things like that can occur. And also, you might start using more substances. So that's another behavior you might start doing. Sometimes people might start smoking weed to try to decrease their stress or feel calmer, but then they get negative reactions from that because then they're eating more because they got the munchies, or they're not able to, they're real sleepy after that and they're not able to get their work done. So that's why we talk about, what are some other ways that you can feel relaxed without using the substance. And so that's where doing meditation and things like that really can help you to feel calmer.
Or even talking to someone. Like, we're both from the counseling center. So
that's important.
Yeah, so sometimes you may need some professional support. Our friends and family or significant others can be fine, but sometimes you may want a more neutral, opinion, someone that is not really as close to the situation to be able to kind of talk with and to help you kind of process everything and to learn coping skills and things like that. So never be afraid to reach out.
That's exactly right. We have some wonderful counselors at the counseling center. And right now we're doing appointments virtually. So you can call 404-413-1640 to schedule an appointment. And that's also our after hours line. So if you're having an emergency situation and need to talk to a counselor, you can call that number as well, 404-413-1640. And then also some people, they may decide that they want to do something different, like writing. Journaling is another way to get your feelings out and to manage stress. That's really good as well. And then we also have another support that we just added, and that's called Together All. And that is an online community that students can get on. They can register at togetherall.com with their student email. And it's an anonymous online community where students can chat with each other and get support. They can also, draw. There's areas where you can draw and write about your feelings. You can also take little mini courses on stress management or time management. So far, a lot of students have been signing up and really enjoying Together All. So again, go to togetherall.com to register.
Well, good. I'm so glad that a lot of students have definitely been getting online to use Together All.
Yeah, they really, really have. So that's been I'm glad that we were able to bring that to Georgia State for students this year.
Yes, I am too. So we're coming up on the end of our episode, but before we end, I wanted to know, Dr. Griffith, is there any final thoughts that you wanted to share, that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I wanted to just say that, that stress is something that we all experience. It's a normal thing, and there are skills that you can learn to help you to adapt to it. And so the first step is to try to figure out where the stress is coming from. So kind of look, like make a plate and just kind of look at different areas of your life, school, work, relationships, and try to see where most of your stress is coming from. And that way you'll have an idea of where to begin. So if you notice that most of your stress is coming from school, for example, and then you can say, okay, what about school is stressful? And then write those things out and then start making a plan. Are there some things that you can do to decrease that stress? So if you're having difficulty in a certain class, you can say, okay, what are some things I can do about that? Maybe I can join a study group. Maybe I can go to office hours. Maybe I can reach out to another student for some help. Maybe I can go to some tutoring, different things like that. And so, just kind of once you make a plan, then that helps your stress to go down some. So that's where it's really important to kind of identify where it's coming from and then use the steps to problem solving, to try to figure out what's the problem, what are some things I can do, and then look at the pros and cons of doing those things, and then actually pick something and try it and see if it works. And then if you still are having a hard time, it's okay to ask for help. Reach out for help when you need it. So I think that will really help a lot. Also, there's some things that we can't change, but there's also some things that we can change. So we can't change the behaviors of other people, right? But we
Right.
can change our own behaviors. We can change our reactions to things. So, for example, the things that are going right now, we can change how we react to them. We can change how we think about them. And we can kind of say, this period of time is a time for me to grow in patience, or it's a time for me to learn some new skills to cope and adapt to difficult situations. And so if you can kind of figure out a way to reframe whatever's happening, that can help you to lower your stress as well, because you're not worrying and stewing about it as much. So I think, you can do that. That's helpful too. And then if you try to do some things that involve movement, that will help you with stress. So, walking, doing some exercise. The Recreation Services has a lot of online wonderful workouts at recreation.gsu.edu you can do. Um, Also, trying to do some things, spiritually. So maybe sitting out in nature or smelling a wonderful scented candle, things like that. So try to do things for your mind, for your body, and your spirit. And so while we're talking about your body too, make sure you're eating right.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're drinking enough water. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep for your body, because all these things help build resilience, so that as the next demand comes on you, that makes you better able to fight it. Okay.
Right.
It gives you that reserve that you need to help you to fight it. So just keep doing some self-care and different things to help manage stress. And you'll notice that you'll start to feel better. Deep breathing is a huge one, especially if you are about to go take an exam or something like that, or have a crucial conversation. Make sure you do some nice deep breathing beforehand, and that's going to help take you down and get you out of that fight or flight mode and help you to be more calm.
Yes, yes. Well, I don't even have to add anything else to what you said because you pretty much said everything that I would add. So I concur, and I really think that everything that you said was on point and true.
Thank you.
So thank you so much,
You're
Dr.
welcome. There is one more thing I forgot to say.
Go ahead.
I forgot to talk about, we have an event coming up, well, two stress events. So one is on October the 8th, and the other one is on the 15th. These are on Thursdays from 12 to 1 p.m. And we're doing what's called a Stress Busters series. And so the first date, we're going to be working on some things to prevent stress. So kind of learning some skills like time management and things like that. And then on the 15th, we're going to be doing more of the, what to do when you're in the thick of it, so kind of the deep breathing, the meditation, things like that. So please check us out. If you go to hashtag GSU Stress Busters, it'll give you some more information. Also on Instagram at BeWellGSU, you can also find out some more information on it. And it's going to be on WebEx, so that's how you can access this. There'll be a link there on our Instagram page.
Great. And what was those dates again, you said?
The 8th and the 15th from 12 to 1.
Great.
So GSU Stress Busters.
Okay, so y'all hear that, Panther family? Make sure to tune in.
Yes.
On those 2 days.
And then it's going to be recorded, so you can watch it again on, on our YouTube channel.
Great. Well, thank you so much again, Dr. Griffith, for just being a part of this episode and to share your expertise about stress and how to cope with it. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. And until the next time, please make sure to take care of yourself, stay safe, and to remember to always own your advocacy. Y'all take care.
Bye.
Bye.